Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. And we are culminating, it's a big day in the world, big day in the United States. And we have been working and culminating with the Mars-Pluto opposition energies and the Scorpio new moon energies for these last couple of weeks, and how they will arc out through April of 2025. And of course, new moons typically have a 5 to 6 month arc on them, where full moons have a couple of weeks, not months. So, and what we want to cover and what we want to focus on, because the unseen, I want to just bring up currently our main energies really quickly. Let's just jump in with our current energies. Welcome, Olivia. It's November, so we're in a month of peace. It's an 11. It's a way to and a way through. And ultimately, let me just back up for a second. We're going to be looking at these main themes about victory, a long-awaited return. There's an emphasis on return and advance. Swan medicine. What we're really working with is love, wisdom, and grace. And you're going to see how that will sustain us, will carry us through. Because in order to know what it is, what the ideal is, what we're actually pursuing, and Pluto, these final moments of Pluto and Capricorn, never in our lifetimes to return again. And Pluto dismantles, disrupts. And so we're looking at this fact of to bring everything that's been hidden in the recesses, in the subconscious, in the psyche, in the institutions. It must be brought into the light in order for it to be transmuted. And so watch as we work with these energies and bear with me. It's a big day. As Olivia is saying, it's a big day. It's a sad day. What happened? Source happened. The unseen happened. And we may not always, as human beings, we may not always, our minds, our ego mind personalities, because there's in the world and in the United States, there's roughly half that are happy today and half that are not. And yet, what's on offer for all of us is advance, transformation. It's just a matter of how we get there. And so bear with me. Welcome, Ava. Bear with me as we walk through these energies, and you'll see the connection, and we'll loop it all together at the end. So our main energies is about peace, relax. We are moving towards peace. I get in the moment, it doesn't feel that way. However, we are. The 6 is about conflict, and we are letting go of the conflict, and we're meant to let it go within ourselves. So I implore everyone to not hold on to conflict, to find peace, stay centered, and you will see as something that I'm going to do at the very end. I believe it's from Venus Williams, but it's to remember that we're uniting from the inside out so as to become whole, and that the way, 11, the way to, the way through, well, here's 25. It's about innocence and to open ourselves, not to be, run over and run roughshod over others or ourselves, but to find our innocence, to hold that as our stabilizing force. And with 7, it's about correct discipline. It's the army. It's about knowing that we have everything we need. Our astrological influences. It's the new moon in Scorpio that occurred on the 1st of November. And on the 3rd, we have the Mars-Pluto opposition that took place at that anaretic degree of 29 degrees, both in Cancer and Capricorn. And then later on the evening on the 3rd of November, Mars entered Leo. And it's number 4 from the unseen. And the astrological influences, they said midheaven ascendant. And it has to do with the Sabian symbols. So we'll cover that in a minute. I'm going to come back to it. But this Mars moving into Leo, and it's number 4 from the unseen. And they said a call to action, a call to act, a call to be. And they said be proactive, be receptive. And then they said Mars in Leo. When Mars is in Leo, it's about leading from our hearts, and it's to take action with courage. So this isn't a time to, rescind and contract. If anything, it's the exact opposite. It's number 4, it's foundational. And so it is to lead from our hearts, take action with courage, be open, and be proactive, and be receptive. It's about how we bridge this moment to the future, to what we are receiving. And you'll see in hexagram 24, because this a long-awaited return, there was an emphasis on return, and that's hexagram 24. And let me just go to it. We're going to jump right into it. And hexagram 24, its action is go back. Its hidden influence is the receptive. It is the divine feminine. So it's the receptive force, and it says yield. So in essence, we're yielding, air quotes, we're yielding to this moment. Its underlining cause is coming to meet, encounter, coming to meet our higher selves, coming to meet our soul source connection. What's at our center? And it's one of our first quotes. And you see the image of Lady Justice. And the quote is, progress is often marked by a slow return to original sincerity. This is by Carrie Hone at cafeausoul.com. So progress is often marked by a slow return to original sincerity. Original sincerity is purity, goodness, love, wisdom, grace, kindness. And so the path can be long. And yet, what we're looking at here, and I just want to go to, it's our 2 quotes. So let me just go right into our second quote. And the second quote, and again, you see this image of Columbia, and she represents America, Columbia Pictures, and so forth. But the quote is, it's a proverb: sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. She, America, Columbia, the divine feminine, all that she embodies, all that she represents within all of us, each of us, male, female, doesn't matter. The point is that sow that thought, the embodiment of the divine feminine, because she's yielding at this moment. She's yielding for a higher ideal. She's yielding to advance us. It may look and feel like we're going backwards. However, you'll see in this hexagram how that's not true. So, hexagram 24, return, go back. Sometimes we need to stop and go back. This can arise when we have taken an improper course or the wrong path and need to return to where we started, original sincerity. Other times we can get so far away from who we really are that return is necessary to reconnect with the core part of us that has remained unchanged over time. That part of us that has remained unchanged over time is our soul source connection, our divinity. And so, again, when we've gone so far astray, and what this moment is shining a light, and it's around the globe, it's happening around the globe, it's just been very prominent in our faces. Remember, they said the truth that we cannot turn away from. We must see it. Welcome, Kiki. So this is about how we have to return to get back to our original sincerity, to who we truly are. And in order to do that, we got to bring up all the muck and the guck and the shadow and all of that stuff, that goo that we don't want to deal with. We don't want to face it. But what we're getting to is the core part of us that's remained unchanged over time. The hidden influence of the receptive, the divine feminine, shows a need for an inner opening, while the cause or past condition was one of focusing on encountering others, external things. So it's a time of coming back in, unite from the inside. After a time of splitting apart, a return to the self to develop authenticity is necessary. You are at a turning point in this situation, and progress is often marked by a slow return to original sincerity. Here's that beautiful image. It's Lady Justice, and Justice is blind. And so you are at a turning point in this situation, and progress is often marked by a slow return to original sincerity. It may seem like you are not moving forward. One could say it feels like we're going backwards. And it says, although progress is still occurring. This is because by returning, you reconnect with your true path. This can be a time to examine your intentions. A disconnect may be occurring where you seek a specific outcome, yet experience something different. Examine your commitment to the situation and whether or not it truly serves you. There is a need to align intention and commitment with the truth of what you are truly capable of achieving. See, we're dealing with the antithesis, in a sense, of this. We're dealing with the shadow aspect of it. And this is why the Master Weaver, the all that is, the unseen, is turning back so we see ourselves, raising it up in such extraordinary light and fashion that it's unmistakable. We cannot turn away from it. And thus there's this, does this really truly serve us? There is a need to align intention and commitment with the truth of what you are truly capable of achieving. Return can come from after false starts with the sole purpose of showing you what is truly important to you. This is a time when you have a fresh start to proceed more carefully. It's that correct discipline, Army, correct discipline. Sometimes the message can be that those who have gone may return. Sometimes the message can be that those who have gone may return. We've just experienced that in the United States. The Master said, when the way turns back, all things turn back with it. Turning back is how the way moves. Know when to stop and you will meet with no danger. And so we face this opportunity for advance, a long-awaited return hyphen advance. We do face this moment of victory. But just like God and the Israelites, he did not take them in a direct path. They were tested. He wanted to know what was at their center. And this moment reminded me, it's of Exodus 14, where after everything that God did for the Israelites, parting the Red Sea, dealing with Pharaoh and his army, water out of rocks and manna out of air, and this very meandering, winding route. And they were right at the precipice of the promised land, of peace, the land of milk and honey. And there were many that said, paraphrasing, why did you, in fact, I don't have to paraphrase, I have it. Let me just read it verbatim. Exodus 14, didn't we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians, Pharaoh, the master. It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. Their faith failed them after everything that had been given to them. They didn't believe that the promise of something greater and more and better was attainable. In this moment that's going around the world, this same energy is playing out. There's fear, great fear. There's resentment, there's hate, there's anger. All of this shadow energy rising up. And yet there's a whole faction that says there is something, we can have it. We will achieve it, victory. But in order to know victory, we must know what we are conquering. Because victory means, it's from the Middle English, meaning to overcome, vanquish. So to overcome, win, conquer, or vanquish. And I was drawn to the word vanquish. And it means to overcome in battle, subdue completely. So as the way turns back, do not become dismayed. Do not. If anything, take that moment, because it's number 3 from the unseen. It's bittersweet. There's a bittersweet celebration and loss going on. And there's going to be a mourning process of having not reached that moment in this instant. And yet, we are, welcome, Colleen. And I know, I am sick, I am so dismayed. And yet, I am from the unseen, and I even battled myself to be here today. And I said, I will not give up. I will not surrender in that way. And the messages came louder and louder because it's okay. The unseen was saying to us, and this could have applied either way to either side or whatever it may be, that there was going to be this bittersweet celebration and loss, and that there's a mourning period, and it's how quickly we move through that. Because to overcome, to win, to conquer, to vanquish, to subdue completely, in order to do that, we must turn back. The way must turn back. The divine feminine yields. It is in the hexagram, so that the light can penetrate the depths of this darkness. That's what's happening. So let's move to, I want to go to Astrology by Lauren. Both of these, both Astrology by Lauren, speaking about the Scorpio new moon and the Mars-Pluto opposition, and then Jess Hagen with Swan medicine. They are so beautiful for this moment. So astrology by Lauren. She says, giants are not what we think they are. This is a quote by Malcolm Gladwell, David and Goliath. So giants are not what we think they are. The same qualities that appear to give them strength are often the sources of great weakness. We see this. It's an illusion. The strength and the power is an illusion. It's their weakness. And the fact of being an underdog can change people in ways that we often fail to appreciate. It can open doors and create opportunities and educate and enlighten and make possible what might otherwise have seemed unthinkable. Wisdom, love, grace, humility, those are powerful. False prophet, all of this illusion of strength, power, it's fear, it's shadow. On Friday, November 1st, we have a new moon in Scorpio. This transformational new moon is a force in its own right, ruled by that powerful Mars-Pluto opposition, which is exact on November 3rd, in the very last degrees of their respective signs of Cancer and Capricorn. We get the picture of closing out one era to enter another. Once all is said and done, by the end of this month, many will be feeling like their lives will never be quite the same again. We stand with bated breath as we watch history unfold. So remember, Pluto is leaving Capricorn. It's going to enter Aquarius for the next almost 20 years. It does not mean that the instantaneous transition occurs instantaneously, or the transition doesn't occur instantaneously. Because again, they were at these final degrees. So there's this last vestige of this patriarchal shadow for all of us. That is not a male specific statement. We all, no matter of gender, have divine masculine and divine feminine within us. So as Astrology by Lauren is saying, we're waiting with bated breath, watching history unfold. Passionate Scorpio is a sign of renewal, rebirth, and transformational change. So this whole death and rebirth. Out of the ashes of what once was, we are being asked to rebuild something stronger, more enduring, more powerful. Pluto will leave Capricorn for good on November 18th, but not without first attending to some unfinished business. Plowing through the very last degree of Capricorn, the Sabian symbol for this degree points to its own dichotomy between light and darkness. Astrologer James Burgess suggests at this juncture that we are given a choice between choosing the side of the hidden architects of material power and wealth, Pharaoh, or to choose the side of light, the unseen, the very essence of goodness itself. Our choices have consequences at this powerful time. The warrior planet Mars is not seen as being terribly strong in the sign of Cancer, the sign of its fall. However, when pushed into a corner or when she sees that all she loves is in danger of annihilation, Mars in Cancer can be a force to be reckoned with. See, this is the mantle we're meant to take up, not collapse and surrender, but to take up this mantle of this mama bear, this she bear that says, see, when we're pushed, it can be a force to be reckoned with. It takes tremendous courage to take on forces so much more powerful than yourself, darkness. But we're light. The light will always triumph darkness. It's to remember that. Shortly after taking on the Dark Lord, Pluto, Mars moves into the sign of Leo, where it attempts to take up the mantle of leadership and assume the throne. Pluto, on the other hand, will leave the sign of Capricorn, never to return to this sign again in our lifetimes. We are closing out an era, and in doing so, we are being asked to look to the future. Now, there may have been, and in the world, this is happening all over the globe, there may have been, quote unquote, a greater percentage looking backwards. Oh, we were better off with Pharaoh. Okay. But there was also a massive amount, and there is around the globe, that is holding on to and looking for love, hope, wisdom, grace, peace. This Astrology by Lauren, she goes on to say, the Mars-Pluto opposition is just a few days before the U.S. presidential election, sitting right on the Mercury-Pluto opposition of the United States' Sibley chart, its natal chart. It is a reminder that the United States is in the throes of its Pluto return. Pluto returns bring up everything that's been hidden, all the goo and the guck. It brings it up into the light. Many feared that this Pluto return might be a portent of destruction of the original ideals that the country was founded on. Democracy versus fascism, or autocracy and dictatorship and so forth. But Pluto is not just about destruction, as it is also about rebirth and renewal. And so we are being asked to rise out of the ashes of what once was. Whether destruction or rebirth, the Pluto return is an opportunity to evolve and grow and create ever better foundations upon which to build a better future. So it's to remember, many times in life, we learn our greatest lessons through the cloak of opposites, through the greatest hardship, through the greatest challenge. And what ends up happening? It stirs us. It challenges us in such deep ways that we rise ever higher. And we don't forget. It means more to us because of the challenge, because of the greatness of the challenge. Where when something is easily given or attained, we don't value it as much. Humans tend to not value or appreciate it, and they don't tend to remember it as long. But in this instance, as Astrology by Lauren is saying, whether by destruction or rebirth, the Pluto return is an opportunity to evolve and grow and create ever better foundations upon which to build a better future. She goes on to say, another way to look at oppositions of any sort is that they are a culmination, a completion, and an ending. So remember, this isn't a beginning for the darkness. It's an ending. At the beginning of Pluto, of this transition, of Pluto leaving Capricorn, the patriarch, Piscean, into the matriarch, Aquarian age. The Sabian symbol for the degree of the new moon at 10 degrees Scorpio is a fellowship supper reunites old comrades. When people work in common cause together, they form bonds and connections. Their experiences create a level of commonality. And then, when having finished the work that they came here to do, they sit down together to break bread in fellowship and camaraderie. And so it may be. So again, two factions sitting in fellowship and camaraderie. However, one is seeking a return to the soul, to a higher level, a greater octave. The other isn't. It believes that it can rewind time, go back in time, freeze time. It's impossible. It doesn't exist. It doesn't occur. It's an illusion. On November 2nd, we have an exact sextile between Jupiter and Chiron. So Jupiter, the great benefic, Chiron, the wounded healer. It's a transit of healing. The current weather can be challenging. However, if we can connect to the Jupiter-Chiron sextile, it can serve as a lodestar leading us through climatic times, towards greater healing and understanding. And this can be true in our own personal lives as well. So Jupiter is the great benefic, Chiron, the wounded healer. This sextile is about healing and how we connect to that, connect into that energy. So individually, We got to get out of our heads and into our hearts. And from that space, from that octave, as it says, number 4, a call to action, act, be that energy, be proactive, be receptive, lead from your heart, take action with courage. Lauren goes on to say, there is an assumption with this sextile that at the very heart of life itself is this absolute concept of goodness. We may not fully realize absolute goodness in our lifetimes. However, we can aspire to reaching it. It is an evolutionary process, a gradual unfolding. It's that beautiful quote. Progress is often marked by a slow return to original sincerity. And so it's an evolutionary process, a gradual unfolding. And as we ever strive to be more ethical, kinder, and better versions of ourselves, then a higher and truer altruism can also be achieved in the world. The new moon in Scorpio is making a trine to the planet Saturn in Pisces. A trine is a harmonious aspect, a transit of commitment. This can be a commitment to a higher cause, to a higher ideal, to something that is worth sacrificing for. This is an excellent time to make promises to ourselves, to create better habits, to even transform our lives. See, we're in constant reciprocity with ourselves, with one another, with the unseen. So this is a perfect time. This new moon in Scorpio, and it's going to arc out again for like 5-6 months. It's a perfect time, and it's Saturn. Saturn's the great teacher. So this is to commit ourselves to a higher cause, a higher ideal, to something that is worth sacrificing for. This is an excellent time to make promises to ourselves, to create better habits, to even transform our lives. Scorpio is a sign of transformation and transition. Some of the themes can have to do with overcoming self-limiting narratives and beliefs. I was better off with Pharaoh. Healing deep wounds, all of this guck that's been brought up by Pluto and Capricorn. Healing deep wounds from the past. And learning how to use our own power, position, and resources in positive and constructive ways. So again, remember, things collapse under their own weight. So one can believe that all of this power, and I have, this David and Goliath, I have all this power. I'm going to do everything what I want. And yet the actions of that, the energy of it, the hubris of it, the intention of it, the misaligned shadow intention of it, will cause it to collapse under its own weight. And that's what Pluto and Capricorn is doing. It's dismantling. And the greater majority in the United States chose destruction. Okay, but see, it doesn't have to be this way. But we're being called to a higher octave. She concludes, Astrology by Lauren, she concludes with some positive affirmations or intentions for this new moon might be, out of the ashes of what was, I have the ability to create a better and more meaningful future. When I embrace my own power, I become an instrument for positive change in the world and in my own life. I am endowed with the magical ability to transform problems into happiness. I am profound and have depths of potential as yet unrealized. I am powerful and capable of taking on even the greatest daunting of challenges. So where we may be weary, where we may want to just retract back, that the crab Cancer, Mars in Cancer, that retract back, and yet it's now in Leo, it's moved into Leo. But the point is, for a moment, for an instant, and then pull yourselves together collectively, because this is a village, this is a family, this beautiful soul family. And it's number 5 from the unseen. Focus on the solution, not the problem. So within our individual lives, and as we collectively continue, as we rebound and we restructure and we renew, as we are reborn, focus on the solution, not the problem. I want to go to our mantra. Grace heals all. And it's a powerful word. It's our key word, and it's our mantra, the word grace. Grace means unmerited divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration or sanctification. It's unmerited, meaning undeserved, unmerited divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration or sanctification. The freely given, unmerited favor and love of God. Divine favor, benevolence, or providence bringing about worldly benefit or advantage. In its more human, simple terms, a polite and thoughtful way of behaving. See, we often talk here about this isn't happening to us. This isn't punishment. This is for us. And I don't mean that what potentially the shadow energies that are present, it's the fact that's, but it's when we see through it, when we see through the illusion of it, it's being brought up from the unseen, from God, the all that is, Allah, Buddha, however you ascribe to a higher connection and power. It's being brought up for all of us to see our better selves, our divine nature. And as it begins to crumble under its own weight, Pluto, destruction, that's one of its aspects, that will become more and more and more apparent. But the point is that it is divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration and sanctification, purity, purification, sanctification, being divine, recognizing our divinity, once again, returning. So, as I said, it's our keyword. I'm just bringing it up. There's grace, and it is our mantra. Grace heals all. So now let's move into, where are we going? Swan medicine. This is by Jess Hagen, urbanhealersofla.com. Swan medicine. Why do we sometimes linger in a state of anguish? I mean, we're literally, there are those perpetuating, and they don't believe it to be so. They don't believe it, but in a state of anguish, like perpetuating this state of anguish. Why, if we are in pain, do we not return to a state of grace within minutes, as all the animals do? Because we become addicted to the beast we know. We feel safe there. Somehow it's Pharaoh, it's better. Pharaoh will never be better than the unseen, the all that is. God, source, Allah, Buddha, the all that is. Our soul source connection. It will never be better. It's original intelligence versus artificial intelligence. The Swan spirit animal totem teaches the art of stepping into one's beauty and power against all odds. Swan journeys from awkward adolescence into captivating adulthood through a process of surrender. And let me just bring up the main image. Here's our main image. The theme is victory, a long-awaited return - advance, swan medicine. The two swans facing one another. They mate for life, and their beaks are touching, and their bodies, and it makes a heart. So at the foundation of swan medicine is love, heart. And you see that the star, the bright star, it's about grace. It's unmerited assistance given to us. And I just want to bring up, because this was for the main themes, it's another image of the swans. In this one, you see again 2 swans, their beaks touching, their breasts almost touching, and it's reflecting. And what it's creating is double hearts, but it's also creating the infinity symbol. And so again, love, wisdom, grace, they're eternal. It's at the core of where we are moving to, where we are returning to. So again, the beauty, the swan medicine teaches the art of stepping into one's beauty and power against all odds. Swan journeys from awkward adolescence into captivating adulthood through a process of surrender. We keep surrendering. We talk about this all the time. Keep surrendering to your soul source connection. Not your ego, mind, personality, your soul. Many people feel that surrender signifies defeat. If we stop protesting and yield to the conflict at hand, are we compromising noble truths? Are we turning away from our core values? Or could it be, in accepting a painful condition, we enter a strange cosmic state of grace that gives us a glimpse of the larger pattern we are a part of? We are a part of the return of the divine feminine, the arrival of the Aquarian matriarchal era. We chose to be here for this moment. And while that transition and the process may be painful or deeply painful, it's to remember that we are ushering in something so pure and so a part of us that has lied dormant and been oppressed and suppressed and harmed for so long. And yet, she, hexagram 24, divine feminine, the creative force, she's yielding to this moment. It's momentary. It's not forever. It's momentary. She's yielding for this moment, for this instant, for us all to bear witness, for us all to see the truths that we cannot turn away from, so as to advance, to transmute them, to relinquish them, to vanquish them forever. Jess Hagen goes on to say, we live in a dimension of duality, of opposites, light, dark, right, wrong, hot, cold, male, female, on and on. In this state, we constantly shift between all variations. Human nature can never stay still, and Swan medicine is asking us to learn how to surrender to our own duality. We can love a person and dislike them at the same time. There's that great saying, I love you, but I don't like you right now. We can love our fellow humans and our fellow neighbors and fellow Americans and not like them in this moment. As confounding as that may seem, it is a natural law. Entering a state of grace is only possible when we give space to the parts of us that are not lovely. See, entering a state of grace is only possible when we give space to the parts of us that are not lovely. It doesn't mean condone the darkness. It doesn't mean participate in it. It simply means make space to see in others, because we're in reciprocity. So we're seeing, it's namaste, I bow to the divine in you. We are bearing witness to the darkest aspects of human nature, of ourselves. And so grace allows us to see that which is not lovely. It's not pretty. Many people who are struggling to heal from past trauma have an unconscious belief that if they allow themselves to heal from what happened to them, then the people who inflicted the pain upon them will, quote, get away with it. See, there's this whole energy going on about it's it's the woman or the immigrant or the boss or the ex-partner or all of these past traumas, and this belief that if I somehow heal that, if I somehow leave Pharaoh and I heal that, well, then they're getting away with it. There is an unconscious belief that if we stay wounded, we hold those responsible for the pain and in some energetic way, through our inability to thrive, punish the wrongdoers. But of course, that's a fallacy, because anything we do to others, we're already doing to ourselves. It's already coming back tenfold. So it's not about holding on to negative energies. It is about forgiveness, grace, forgiveness. It's about letting, it doesn't mean forget, but it means let go. Conflict, let go. Because we're meant to heal. Jupiter, Chiron, that sextile. This is about healing us, not harming us, not doubling down on harm. Jess Hagen goes on to say, but the frustrating reality is what happened has happened. If by the grace of the great mystery, we can find a way to release the need for justice and trust that whatever anyone does to another, they do to themselves 10 times over, we can then release ourselves from the agony field and disengage from the situation, holding down our desires to thrive. Because when we do that, when we're focused on the problem and not the solution, we're giving all of our energy, all of our power away. We're focused on the wrong wolf. This has been one of the main themes with all of these: challenge versus opportunity, which wolf to feed. And the unseen, they gave us wolf medicine, the impossible dream realized, owl medicine, heightened awareness, and deer medicine, peace be with you. And remember the grace, it's unmerited assistance from the unseen, the all that is. Jess goes on to say, it is a well-known catchphrase that, quote, the best revenge is a successful life. Let no one stop your live energy from flowing forth as its natural light. This is so important. This is what we're talking about. Take that moment, mourn, cry, yell, scream, holler, and then get back up and let no one, including ourselves, stop the flow of our soul source connection energy, this living waters, life force coming through us. Because that's a successful, like that's the, the sweet revenge in that sense. We are not held back or down. No single person or event can ever be worth giving up such an incalculable value. The human spirit is about triumph over adversity. In the famous ballet Swan Lake, Princess Odette overcomes a curse and experiences the full range of light and darkness. This passionate, elegant play teaches about feeling all there is to feel to the fullest capacity and never letting any one event, person, or feeling stop us from our life's journey. Do not give your power away. Retain it, maintain it, cherish it, care for it. We are the custodians of it. And your life force and your life matters. Do not buy into the illusion or the problem. Focus your energy on the positivity, on the solution. Swan says, thrive. Travel through the pain and succeed in the art of living. Swan medicine asks us to measure success by the amount of beauty, joy, and awe and wonder we allow ourselves to access. Success is about opening the heart and achieving peace and happiness. Swan is also the master of traveling through the awkward phases of life. She is great at being bad at things. She is at peace with floundering and forgives herself of how embarrassing the learning process is. So we don't hold hostage. We don't hold ourselves hostage. Don't hold others hostage. We can make it through the embarrassing process, the embarrassing learning process. When Swan does this, she becomes simply stunning. Another aspect of Swan medicine is about finding where we belong. In the famous story, The Ugly Duckling, we learn how one baby swan discovers who she really is and how to shift reality to empower her gifts and skills. The ugly duckling did not learn that she did not belong on Earth. She only learned that she did not belong with the ducks. Be a swan. Be a swan. Embrace swan medicine. Embrace love, wisdom, grace, empathy, compassion, forgiveness, love. If I haven't said it again, love. When swan medicine glides into your life, as she has, it is time to surrender to the awkward, the frustrating, and the seemingly wrong. Surrender meaning it's here. It's been given to us for a reason. So we're surrendering to seeing through the illusion. We're surrendering to see the solution, to focus on the solution. We're not surrendering to the illusion, and we're not surrendering to being a duck. Nothing has happened that is too great for grace to hold. Reality arises from what you are capable of expecting. Your expectations are often determined by what you have experienced in life. If you have repeatedly experienced being let down by people, then it is probably only a matter of time before the next new person lets you down. Because if we believe that, it's already coming back to us. But when we discard that and we recognize the higher hand at play here for us, that's what's coming back to us. This renewal, rebirth, regeneration, the solution. By identifying your honest expectations about a person or a situation, you are then able to turn those expectations around. Or maybe not all at once. It often begins with identifying a condition you don't want and then reaching with your mind's imagination for what you do want. This reaching is called hope. We spoke about the Rise of the Guardians, the animated film, The Rise of the Guardians. It's about, Jamie is the one child, as the boogeyman was trying to extinguish all the light around the globe. And he was the one light, the one source of light, the one source of innocence, childlike innocence, hope and faith and belief. And because that one child in the Rise of the Guardians held on to hope, and then when the massive darkness and all of the, pitch black, the boogeyman, and his whole charade of characters was coming right at them, staring down at this little boy in the movie, he remembered, I don't have to be afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. You're an illusion. And he began to laugh. And all the other children began to laugh. And all of the lights on the globe came back on. Because hope and love and wisdom and grace and peace conquered, vanquished the boogeyman forever. It restored goodness, light, laughter, and hope. Jess Hagen concludes, whether or not your imagined vision arrives has no bearing on your ability to sustain feelings of hope over feelings of disappointment. Practice hope, not so that you will gain the physical reality you seek, but so that you can live in the grace of how hope feels. It's a state of being, a call to action, act, a call to be, It takes the same amount of energy to be positive as it does to be negative. How you experience life, what you reach for, is your choice. Practice reaching for the stream of grace and join the great visionaries of history: Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Amma. Accept the past, accept what is, and reach for what can be. This is the Swan medicine way. Welcome, Elizabeth. So there are so many in this moment, and I know, and I just want to bring up this from the other show, Compass, I Will Lead You Home. Your soul source connection is your compass. It is true north. It will always lead to true north. It will never betray you. The ego mind personality may betray you, but your soul, your all that is, never. It's never for sale. So when we fall short, it's an ego mind personality issue. It's not a soul issue. It's where we've bought into the illusion. So practice Swan medicine. I'm just looking here as we close out. I just want to give you a couple of the Sabian symbols, and then we're going to conclude with this. I just saw this on social media from, I believe, yes, Venus Williams. So we'll close with that. The astrological energies, they were saying mid-heaven ascendant, which was very strange, but yet it makes sense. So on this astrological chart, you see that the sun and the midheaven, they're at the very top on the dark black line. The sun and the midheaven are conjunct at the same degree. And this is about the sun, our life force, and the midheaven. It's like what's on offer, where we're going. And then the ascendant, again, where we're rising to. So the Sabian symbol for the midheaven and sun, an official embassy ball, group consciousness as it flowers at the highest level in cultural interchanges between representatives of the elite of the ruling class. It talks about how we have here the image of a ritualized display of power, prestige, and wealth. Relationship has been made hierarchical and is institutionalized. It tells us that this too is an essential feature in the development of rhythmic give and take to achieve global peace. So while we may, Pluto, Capricorn, Mars, Cancer, those final degrees, the opposition, the Scorpio new moon, and remember I told you I didn't like the Sabian symbols for the Scorpio new moon, but we don't get to pick and choose. They are what they are. And so I had a foreshadowing that this may happen. And yet what this is saying is, here's this rhythmic give and take. With the intention to achieve global peace. Not global destruction, global peace. The ascendant. A child is seen being born out of an egg. The emergence of new mutations according to the great rhythms of the cosmos. So again, we have rhythms, cycles. The ancient symbolism of the cosmic egg, out of which a new universe is born, can be interpreted at several levels. Here we see the appearance of a new type of human being who is not born from, quote, ancestors, and who therefore is free from the inertia of mankind's past. This is where we're going. They are a new product of evolution, a mutant, meaning a new species, a new growth. They constitute a fresh projection of the creative spirit that emanates from the cosmic or planetary whole, and not from any local culture and racial tradition. This symbol can be said to announce, quote, the emergence of global man, global humankind, for the new age. Pluto in Aquarius, matriarchal, Aquarian, revolutionary, who we will be, who we are and will be. This emergence of global man for the new age. See, this isn't about going back. It may look like that and feel like that in this instant, but that is not what's happening. And destruction may come. It may collapse of its own accord. Yes, okay. However, focus on the solution, not the problem. Stay centered. The power of the whole is focused within them in perfect freedom from ancient standards of value based on local conditions. See, this is saying to us that in the present future, in the Aquarian matriarchal age, the power of the whole, the all that is focused within us in perfect freedom from ancient standards, from the past, based on local conditions. What was. And last but not least is the lot of fortune. A butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. The capacity to utterly transform the character of one's consciousness by radically altering the structural patterns of everyday living and the types of relationships one enters upon. This is about heightened awareness, owl medicine, consciousness. It's about swan medicine. This whole grace and how we focus on the solution, not the problem. Wolf medicine, which wolf are we feeding? And deer medicine, peace be with you. That the unseen, God, source, Allah, the Buddha, the all that is ever present, is always with us. We need only tune in to that channel. And that will make all the difference in our individual lives and our collective lives. And so this is about utterly transforming the character and the consciousness and the relationships. And it says at this key stage, the key word is metamorphosis. In spiritual terms, this implies initiation, meaning entering a higher realm of conscious existence and there joining a sacred company. So you see how everything that's before us, we're dealing with the mess. It's like a relationship. They're saying to me, it's like a bad relationship. You don't just leave the bad relationship and the next instant, somehow you're just miraculously transformed, and you got to deal with your crud. You got to deal with what came with it all. We as human beings in the patriarchal Piscean era of 2,000 plus years and all of that, we have to deal with our stuff. However, what's before us is this metamorphosis, this initiation of entering a higher realm of conscious existence, thereby joining a sacred company. Because we're going back to where we began, an octave higher. It's a higher octave. We will get through this. So we're going to close with this statement from Venus Williams. You are awakening to the same country or the same world you fell asleep to. The very same one. Pull yourself together. And when you see me, do not ask me, what do we do now? How do we get through the next 4 years? How do we get through this? Some of my ancestors dealt with this at least 400 years under worse conditions. Continue to do the good work. Continue to build bridges, not walls. Continue to lead with compassion. Continue the demanding work of liberation for all. Continue to dismantle broken systems, large and small. Continue to set the best example for our children. Continue to be a vessel of nourishing joy. Continue right where you are, right where you live into your days. Do so in the name of the Creator, who expects nothing less from each of us. And if you are not continuing, all of the above in unity, in community, in partnership, in collaboration, what is it you have been doing? What is it you are waiting for? The unseen is with us. And while it may look like a setback, it isn't. That is an illusion. It is part of the path, the way. Because as the definition of grace states, it is unmerited divine assistance given to humans for their regeneration or sanctification. The freely given, unmerited favor and love of God. Divine favor, benevolence, or providence bringing about worldly benefit or advantage. It is a polite and thoughtful way of behaving, of being. Let us move through this moment united, with grace, with courage, and with a fire that ignites our souls and purifies our ego-mind personalities to once and for all transmute all that Pluto in Capricorn has brought up for us to bear witness to. Allow us to empty our vessels, allow us to seek our soul source connection, and to realize that is the way. It is the guidance system. And anything less than it is artificial, false. Be well, be kind. Thank you all so much for showing up and being a part of today and this journey. It was a lot to get here, and I understand and equally share that it was the same for all of you to show up. So as you hear this message around the globe, stay strong, stay positive, focus on the solution, and know that the unseen is guiding us every step of the way. Until then, until next week, love you all, be well and kind with yourselves and each other, and I will see you next week.